Hello everyone, welcome to Thoughtful Leaders, an initiative under Thoughts on Education by collegedunia.com. Today we have Professor Abhay Kumar with us, who is the Vice Chancellor of IEC University. Okay. So Professor Abhay has a total work experience of more than 38 years now. Okay. He has been entrepreneur for 3 years and worked in industry for over 16 years as senior manager personnel. However, he has keen interest in field of marketing management, strategy being his forte. He has more than 19 years of experience in teaching and research. He has good numbers of research papers published to his credit. He has also headed several management institutes and worked in senior positions at universities of repute. He has been supervision PhD, MPhil, and MBA students in their research work and projects. He has also been principal investigator of government sponsored projects during his career. Professor Abhay is presently Vice Chancellor at IEC University, Baddi, District Solan. He has vast experience in training, motivation, and counseling the students, fraternity, and faculty members. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Kunar. In fact, at the outset, I must thank you as well as College Dunia for having given me this opportunity to share my views.
Thank you so much, sir. So, moving ahead with the interview, sir, you have held key positions at various education institutes throughout your professional career. So, what are the key factors that help you connected with the education sector?
Well, when you have to be connected to the education sector, the most important aspect is being connected to the students. Even during my stint in the industry, I used to mentor and counsel students, and thereafter, I found that my passion was to mentor and counsel young minds, and it gives me great satisfaction in seeing that they become something good in life. So, as you know that India's average age right now is somewhere around 27, and more than 60 crore of the population, out of 138 crores approximately, lies in the age bracket of 25 and below. So, if we want to capitalize on the demographic dividend of the country, we have to do something good for the students as mentors, counselors, and it is not only me. There are various educational leaders in the country, because of whose yeoman's efforts, we see that many deprived sections of the society and have not also climbed the ladder of success in terms of academic pursuits and getting a good job profile. So this is my passion. I believe that everyone does everything for their own biological children, but to the extended family, you have to give back to society what you have gained from it. Right. So that is my vision.
Very rightly said, sir. So, being the Vice Chancellor of IEC University, what is your philosophy of leadership and how would you describe your leadership
style? Mr. Konark, in fact, my philosophy of leadership is collaborative leadership. Means that I always have empowered my deans, HODs, and asked them to empower the faculty members in turn. The reason being, you can hold anyone accountable or responsible for any act if you have entrusted them and empowered them with how they can pursue it without being empowered. So I always lead with example. I always lead in the front, and I take cognizance of any problems which my HODs and deans might be facing and counsel them from time to time. We together as a team are working hard to take IEC University forward. So this is my style of leadership.
Okay, sir. So being the Vice Chancellor of IEC University, how do you strategize about the key programs and plans for the marketing and administration of your school?
As far as the key programs are concerned, I would just like to apprise you that we have 75 courses and almost about 12 schools of excellence at the university. Now, when we talk about marketing, most of our marketing strategies were based upon the satisfaction of the students and the faculty members. The word of mouth marketing being done by our students and our own faculty members give us the maximum number of admissions every year, as it is even this year, when we are getting admissions through word of mouth marketing by the students and the faculty. Otherwise, an online system of marketing is on a particular platform, and this is how we are pursuing our marketing strategies. Apart from advertisements in newspapers, apart from say advertisements in FM channels, these are the basics. Then, as far as administration is concerned, everything is in place with a registrar at the helm of the administration, and looking after the academic as well as the administrative part as the leader of the university, being a vice chancellor. So we are all so well set and well knit as a team that this is how success is coming to IISc University in the last few years.
Okay. So the education systems in India and other foreign countries are structured very differently. In your experience, what can be the inbound student gain from studying here in IEC University?
Actually, if I would very honestly say, the education structure in India is actually very good. In fact, the inputs, the academic inputs that we give to the students, whether they are from our own country or inbound from other countries, is of the highest possible degree. The best possible academic inputs can be given in India. We see that even our own students who go abroad fare so well because the overall development in their personality is such that apart from having an academic prowess, they also have resilience, patience, and perseverance in pursuing their job profile. So any inbound student who comes to us is always given these inputs, and post this, the student is not only good enough to be placed locally but as well as globally. We give them all inputs which are of a global standard.
Okay, sir. So how does the curriculum of IEC University ensure best practice of the industry? As we all know that, just apart from the theoretical knowledge, a practical knowledge is also very important, and what is going on in the market or in the industry outside the university is also very important. So how does your curriculum support that particular thing?
That's a very important question, Mr. Kunal. In fact, we have, apart from good professors and academic leaders on the board of studies, we have people from the industry as well who help us in structuring the course curriculum of the university. Point number one. Then, what we have done is we have collaborated with the industry in various ways. I'll give you a few names like Honda two-wheelers, Okinawa electrical vehicles, ARB bearings, then say IBM. We have collaborated with them in the various courses of engineering, for instance. Even Honda two-wheelers has set up a lab for the students and the faculty members to know the latest trends in technology. Then, say School of Pharmacy. We have the largest pharmacy hub in Asia in Pati, where we are situated.
Okay.
So we have a very good relationship with the industry there, and 100% placement. I speak 100 means 100 students are placed in not only those industries but in other pharma industries as well.
Right.
Physiotherapy, for instance, is a beautiful upcoming school we have.
Okay.
We have collaborated with various hospitals across not only Himachal Pradesh but Chandigarh, Punjab, and Haryana, wherein our students are doing on-job projects in those hospitals. Okay. So, collaboration with the industry is a very important aspect, without which I don't think the students can do well in their job profiles. And we always talk about bridging the gap between academics and industry. This is how we are trying to proceed.
Okay. So, any insights on how your university could be more welcoming to the students of different races or economic backgrounds?
We have everything very well placed. We have students from all religions, caste, creed, races. Does not matter. A student is a student. They are all treated in a similar fashion by the faculty members. As far as economically weak students are concerned, we have not only scholarships in place, we this year, seeing the pandemic, we have offered them 100% finance facility spread over the course so that they are not subjected to a stress while they want to study. This is how we are trying to do, and we have everything so well in place, like activities, sports activities, and extracurricular activities apart from academics, so that the people from all the diverse cultures and all the diverse races feel at home here.
Okay. Very well, sir. So, what do you think your roles and responsibilities are towards the universities and the students?
Uh, the roles and responsibilities which I have as a vice chancellor is to look after the entire process, right from branding and admissions through a proper academic input being given to the students till they are placed, and even after that we tend to find out how they are faring in their jobs and having a good alumni feedback. So this is the entire system and process. We have also to ensure that all our schools, the 12 schools, adhere to the regulatory bindings and regulatory obligations, and they do it very well. Then we have to see that all the administration is in place. The students don't have any difficulty in approaching any department, and this is for this reason that we have a very good system of mentorship in place.
Okay.
I myself am a big proponent of the Guru Shishya Parampara which India had traditionally. Every mentor faculty member has about 7 to 8 students,
Okay.
and he is not only concerned with their academic prowess or academic enhancement. He or she is looking after every aspect of their life, whether it is a behavioral change, whether it is a problem in the hostel, whether it is a problem in the accounts department, anything. That individual is the guardian to that student till he or she is in the university. This is how we do.
Okay, sir. So, what do you think should be the university's top priority over the next coming few years now?
Naturally, the university's priority is to become one of the best universities in the country. And in order to pursue that, we have to revamp the entire systems and process. And we are doing it. Like I said, right from branding till the employment, we see that the students get the best input. And not only the students, our faculty members as well must always try to upskill and upgrade themselves. Research is also very important, and we are paying great stress on research as far as the faculty members are concerned.
Okay. So, when you first came to IEC University, what was your vision for the university, and has it evolved over time, and how far along in implementing that vision you are right now?
Well, if I talk about my vision, as I said just in the last question, my vision was to place IIC University as one of the best universities in the country. Now, in the last year or so, we have successfully been able to brand it as one of the best universities, not only in the region but in the state of Himachal Pradesh. And the competition that we are offering to other very good universities around in a periphery of say 50, 60 kilometers or 70 kilometers or even 100 is of a very robust nature. Our students are very satisfied, and that is how our brand name goes outside.
Okay.
When satisfied students go out of the campus, they talk well of the organization, and that is how organizations are built. This is my view. The faculty members are looked after properly, they are cared for. They also are very good and very important brand ambassadors for the university. So part of the vision is achieved, though a lot has to be done.
I guess it's nevertheless you keep on going. If you're done with one aim of your life, you're having another aim towards to succeed another few things in life, right? So
Right.
एक चीज खत्म होती है तो अगली चीज हमेशा रेडी रहती है. ठीक है. So what would you like to students to know about the university that they might be not knowing about till now?
Maybe some of the students might not be knowing that we have a state-of-the-art infrastructure, one of the best in the region. we have well-equipped laboratories, a double-story, say, digital library, then state-of-the-art labs. This we're talking about is the hard core. The software we might talk about. One of the best faculty members we have, who are so well-equipped in teaching, that it is very important aspect that we have as a position of strength in the region. Then what we can say more about is our locational advantage. Sometimes people don't know. Talking about Himachal Pradesh, we are on the border of Himachal and Haryana. It is a serene surroundings of the university. We are being situated at the foothills of the splendid Shivalik Mountains with lush green campus. And the location is so good that it is almost about 35 kilometers from Chandigarh. We are close to Chandigarh, Punjab, Haryana, Himachal, Shimla, everywhere. So these are certain things that the students might like to know. And moreover, I'll give one small instance. Just before the lockdown began, the empathy some of our students showed was they manufactured about 100 liters of sanitizers in the School of Pharmacy lab with the help of technicians and faculty members, and distributed it in the region around, and taught the villagers as to what COVID-19 was, because it was already spreading globally, and they studied about it and how to get over it, how to secure yourself against the infection, and how to use the sanitizers properly. So these are certain things which people might not be knowing, which our students have been doing, our faculty members have been doing.
That is really nice things. Making people specifically aware about the COVID-19 thing was very much required in India, because with the literacy rate we are having is in today's date as well, people might not be knowing about what COVID is. So that was a great initiative done by our students, sir. So what do you see as IEC University's greatest strength?
Our greatest strengths are our faculty members, students, and staff. Infrastructure anyone can build if the money is there. But then, over a period of time, the sort of systems and processes you develop, the sort of course structure you have in mind, the sort of empathy which the faculty members show towards the students, all these things cannot be built in a day. Right. So this is our greatest strength, and even our students are aware of this.
Right. Okay. So what are some of the biggest challenges that you see both for higher education in general and for IEC University specifically?
Mr. Konark, in fact, this would relate more towards the COVID-19 pandemic, because we all had to go online, and I think the system of education and imparting knowledge has changed quite a bit. So this is a big challenge to adapt to the new format, and of course everyone has done it beautifully, the organizations, and this is the biggest challenge I think in the years to come.
Right. Okay. So how have you managed the teaching and the learning processes at IAC University during the pandemic thing, especially during the lockdown time? What were the major challenges here, and how did you overcome them?
It is a very interesting question. In fact, the pandemic was there globally, as I told you earlier, but the lockdown was sudden and unexpected.
Right.
So what was to be done was, we at that point of time, when after a week of the lockdown having started, we started teaching the students with anything we could lay our hands on. We did not have an LMS at that point of time, to be very honest.
Right.
Faculty members uploaded videos, they sent emailers, they had WhatsApp groups, they uploaded things on the website, they used chat rooms, whatever they could lay their hands on. Then the things got streamlined when we had a learning management system in place, and online teaching was done properly. The course curriculum was adhered to, and once the course was finished, we planned for the online exams as well. And for that, we took the feedback of the parents as well as the students. Because apart from academic instructions, what we did was, we looked after the psychosocial well-being of the students and held many mental wellness classes as well. Because, for the final year students, as it has happened even for IITs and IIMs, that offers have been withdrawn. So we try to impress upon the parents and students that they must keep their cool. The time is there for them to prove themselves in their lives, and we got them different employments elsewhere. Maybe they could not get to the same quantum they had, but they were not unemployed, they remained underemployed for at least 1 year. So this is how we did. Then we have conducted our final year exams online, second and third year exams, and even the first year exams are on the verge of completion in another week. So our faculty members have done wonders. I must say, I never expected some of the faculty members to have worked so hard. In fact, not only in our institution, but in every school and higher educational institution in the country, I think the teachers have done an immense job. I personally have termed the health workers, the security forces as Corona warriors, but now I say even my teachers are Corona warriors.
That is very nice, sir. So, moving ahead to the next question, I think this would be a bit interesting question, So, there's always a bunch of students in the class which are to be, called as underachievers, but they have a particular skill set in them always. So, what are the strategies for the betterment of those underachievers in the class?
Very important. In fact, I have never done one thing which maybe some institutions have done, to segregate the underachievers into another section. That I will never do. Because that is going to have a very bad psychological impact on the student concerned.
Right.
What we do is the faculty earmark the areas in which the student is an underachiever. For example, a student may be very good in one subject paper, one course of a program, but he or she may not be doing well in another. For example, I'll give an example. An MBA student can be very good in HR, but not in accounts.
Right.
So we have to earmark as to which area the student is an underachiever in.
Right.
And we have to take extra classes of that particular student. Even in the faculty room, the teachers have asked the students to come during free period and given them special instructions, one-to-one instructions in the faculty room. Right. Even talk to them on the phone in the evenings if they are facing any difficulty. And in fact, the mentor, as I had termed earlier, the faculty mentor is responsible to see that the other faculty members of different sections are doing their best for the underachievers.
Right.
So we are looking into that aspect.
Okay. Very well, sir. So moving ahead to our last question, sir. So any suggestions you would like to give to the current youth and the aspiring students?
My message would be the age-old message that don't go for mob mentality. Bhed chal in Hindi. Like, don't join a particular course or a program just because someone you know is doing it.
Right.
You have never understood what the basic interest and the passion lies within you. I have seen in life that people who have joined wrong courses and wrong programs which they are not having a passion for, they have either suffered in life or they have switched over to a different program later. The entire career orientation has changed. So it is better that you go to your guardians, to your friends, to your faculty, and you find out where the passion and the interest lies. Then you choose a program and course and do it to the best possible efforts you can put in and excel in life. Go out into the world and get yourself not only a good job but a good career, and of course take India forward. This is my message.
Thank you so much, sir. That was such an insightful interview with you. I hope our viewers, the students who are aspiring to join IEC University are motivated by your interview. So everyone, this was Professor Abhay Kumar, Vice Chancellor IEC University. Thank you so much for being with us on the show, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kunal. Thank you so much to College Dunia.